Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here, and it's fantasy draft season. Everybody talking about strategy right now, so I want to break down my strategy at the tight end position. To Gronk or not to Gronk? That is the question. Well, to be clear, to Gronk, Ertz, or Kelsey, that is the question. Ultimately, do we want to draft one of the top tier tight ends this year, or do we want to wait at the position? And you know, it really wasn't supposed to be this way. It was supposed to be easy. This year, the plan was simple. Draft Hunter Henry in the 6th round, and everything else was going to work itself out. Of course, he had to go. I'm still getting over that. He had to go and get hurt. So we'll see in 2019, Hunter. So the question then, do we want to get one of these premium guys? And if we do, how do we do that? Or do we want to wait at the position? Is there value there later on? And I'm going to tell you, tight end is brutal this year. Once you get beyond those top 3, and even with the top 3, there are some questions, but once you get beyond those top 3, the questions are massive for almost every single option. So if we're going to execute tight end premium, which I actually think, you know, I'm going to do in a bunch of my leagues, I will try and go out and get Gronk, Kelsey, or Ertz. But you can't just say, well, I'm going to draft Gronk, because what if Gronk isn't there when you're picking, right? So if you're going to get Gronk, what do you need? In a 12-team league, we're talking a PPR, you're going to need to be one of the top maybe 3 picks. You're going to need the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall pick. Because in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall pick, you're going to take your choice of, you're going to have Le'Veon Bell, you're going to have Todd Gurley, you're going to have David Johnson or Ezekiel Elliott, right? You're going to get one of those running backs. On the comeback, Gronk is typically going late 2nd round, early 3rd round. So if you're in the 2nd or 3rd pick overall, then you're probably going to take him in the 2nd round, and then you'll see who comes back to you in the 3rd round. If you're on the swing, if you're on that turn there at 2-12 and 3-1, first pick in the third round of your draft, maybe Gronk gets to you there, and that's where you take him. So if you want a shot at Gronk, really that's where you have to be in your draft. I wouldn't recommend, by the way, drafting Gronk earlier than about the 10th pick in the 2nd round. I just don't think the value is right. If you want Kelsey, Kelsey is actually going in the middle of the 3rd round, most typically in PPR, which I think that value is fine as well. So you're going to need to be picks probably, well, you could be at pick 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think anything later than the 6th overall pick gives you a shot at Kelsey in the 3rd round. So let's say you're at pick 3. You don't go Gronk. In the 2nd round, you take whoever's there, whoever it is, that's fine. Gronk doesn't get back to you, but you still want to get a premium tight end. Don't wait. Grab Kelsey there with the 3rd pick in the 3rd round. Of course, Ertz is going to be the late 3rd round, so you really have to be pick 7 through 10 or 11. Sorry, if you're pick 12, I don't know if they get to you in the 3rd round, unfortunately, and it really doesn't make sense to take a tight end. If you're at 1-12 and 2-1, it doesn't make sense. So that might be the one pick where you don't have a shot to execute this. But yeah, that if the other 2 go off the board, you're looking to get Ertz in the 3rd round. That would give you a premium tight end. Why do you want a premium tight end? Well, you're going to have consistency, and you're going to have a weekly advantage on most of your opponents. Any opponent who doesn't have the other 2, you're going to have an advantage on them just because you know you can set and forget. Kelsey has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Ertz coming off a breakout year with 8 touchdown receptions and over 100 targets. Gronk is Gronk. He's the GOAT. 2,000-yard seasons in the last 3 years. I mean, he's finished as the #1 overall fantasy tight end in PPR 4 times in his career. He's the GOAT. So you have that weekly advantage. As I said, though, you know, you may not be able to execute this strategy. The draft may dictate that you can't get these guys. All right, what do we do now? And honestly, if they go, don't drink the Kool-Aid and don't say, well, I got to draft a tight end now in the 4th round. I don't think the value's right. So for me, I'm valuing this next group as actually 6th to 8th round picks, which, by the way, if you hear me talking about these values, you want to check out my personal draft board. We do have that available in our fantasy playbook at profootballfocus.com. So you get where I value these guys. I'm looking at, in round 6 to 8, guys like Olsen, Walker, Ingram, Rudolph, Graham. Okay, you have some oldies getting up there in age. Olsen, Walker, Graham. You have Evan Ingram. his targets are going to go down. We saw what he did in his rookie year, which is rare for a rookie to go out and put up those numbers, but ultimately he did it with Odell Beckham Jr. injured, off the field for most of the season. Brandon Marshall off the field for most of the season. Sterling Shepard banged up. Beckham and Shepard are back and healthy, and they brought in Saquon Barkley, so there's not as many targets. Don't just expect a repeat of last year for Evan Ingram. So there's questions in that group. You get to rounds 9 and 10, there's 2 more guys who I would add in. So this gets you essentially a top 10 at tight end, Jordan Reed and Trey Burton. Now, questions for different reasons, right? Reed, he's always hurt. He's one of the most dominant players at the position. When he's on the field, he's always hurt. So you take that baggage on if you're drafting him, that injury baggage and that injury risk. Trey Burton has never been a full-time starter in the NFL. He's performed well when given the opportunity. He had 2 weeks last year where he was the starter for the Eagles when Ertz was banged up. He was a tight end 1 both weeks, top 10 fantasy performer at the position. But how does he respond as the guy? He seems to be in a favorable situation. He seems to be the breakout candidate of the year, but there's still question marks there. If you miss out on these guys, it's going to be tough. Tight end's brutal this year. I'm going to be honest. Tight end's brutal. Tight end streamers, if you like to say, well, I'm gonna get my tight end off the waiver wire. Go back to last year. If you executed that correctly every week, we may have a job for you here at Pro Football Focus because that was so difficult to do. The industry experts weren't able to do that with any rate of success that was even marginal. It's so difficult to execute that strategy because really with tight ends, if they don't score a touchdown, a lot of times they don't have value. So good luck predicting the touchdowns. It's a difficult thing to do. I don't recommend streaming, but if you're going to go with some of these late round guys, you do have some names at your disposal. David Njoku, upside for the Browns entering his 2nd season. Tyler Eifert, another guy, if he could stay healthy, he could be a good fantasy option. Jack Doyle, but Eric Ebron's there, right? Jack Doyle's coming off that big season. Andrew Luck back, but Eric Ebron's there, so there's going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets. Same thing with O.J. Howard. Don't overvalue O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate are there in Tampa Bay. So those targets get distributed between the 2 of them. So don't overvalue him. Charles Clay, not a ton of upside for you. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, I like the fit in Jacksonville, but again, not a ton of upside with him. Jared Cook, the ultimate good luck guessing which week he's going to break out guy. Benjamin Watson getting up there in age at 38 years old with the New Orleans Saints. George Kittle, I like him in San Francisco, an interesting player, but a younger guy, so we don't know, how much of a step forward he takes here this year. Austin Hooper, another guy, younger. Does he take a step forward this year? A lot of upside with him. And then Ricky Seals-Jones, of course, in Arizona, same thing. Younger guy, does he take a step forward? There's a lot of question marks at the tight end position, which is why I think to Gronk or not to Gronk, I think we should Gronk, or at least Kelsey, or at least Ertz this year. Grab one of the top 3, and I think you'll be happy with that decision. What do you think at the tight end position? What is your draft strategy? Give us a comment below. Let us know what you think. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more videos from Pro Football Focus Fantasy. And go check us out for all of your fantasy football needs at ProFootballFocus.com.